Hello everyone, again this is Mom Earl and today we will be discussing a new lesson entitled The Nature of Language and Language Study. So allow me to share you this thought from Rita Mae Brown. Language is the roadmap of a culture. It tells you where its people come from and where they are going, which is very true because through the language we can learn others' culture and take so much information, okay, and just using the language. These are the learning objectives. The first one, define language macro skills and communicative competence. The second one, differentiate first language and second language synchronic and diachronic language analysis. And lastly, you are going to analyze situations that involve the learning of language, micro and macro skills. Here is a quick look at language, macro skills, and communicative competence. Acquisition, so what is it? In understanding others' thoughts and emotions, we need to communicate. In doing so, we can express our feelings and ideas, and we can be better understood. This will result in the creation of positive and negative affections and relationships. Our world will have difficulty functioning if there is no communication or important element in this process called language. So what is language? We already talked about or discussed about it in our first lessons, but here it is, a system of communication by sound, like through the organs of speech and hearing among beings of a certain group or community, using vocal symbols possessing arbitrary conventional meanings as according to Mario A. Bay and Frank Gaynor. So the word language comes from Latin term lingua, means tongue, and the other French term language. So language therefore is associated with human vocal and auditory means of expressing ideas and feelings. It is an entire multifaceted phenomenon. So this is your preliminary test. I know you will be enjoying doing this. So it is entitled My Human Bingo. So for the instruction, think back of the closest people in your life. It could also be your classmates or professors. Write their name where it fits in each description. So here's how you will be garnering the bingo. Okay, on the big column, you're going to think of the person who is afraid of spiders. Next, the one who is from the same town as you. Third, the only child in the family. Next, enjoys math. Next, is a coffee drinker. Under I column, think of the person who has traveled out of the country. Next, dislike chocolates. No boyfriend since birth. O baka ikaw ito, pero hindi ka pwede. Exempt yourself. Next, can speak other languages. Next, plays video games. Alright, under N column, so the one who prefers Pepsi to Coke, the one who can play a musical instrument. Okay, so free space because that is the center first. Then next, the one who wears glasses. Next, the one who never rode a plane. Alright, under G column, think of a person who has two or more pets. Next, the one who can sing and dance. Next, someone who struggles much in moving on. Okay, alam ko ikaw pa rin to, pero hindi pa rin kasali, hindi pa rin kasali ang sarili. Next is a K-drama fanatic. Okay, so I think lots of you, okay, in our present year nowadays, okay, there are lots of people who are K-drama fanatic. Next, does yoga or exercise. Under O column, so has the same birth month as yours. Next, the youngest in the family. Next, is left-handed. Next, the favorite color is red. And the last one, a person you know who has a YouTube channel. And in completing the human bingo above, you use language in communicating, right? Aside from that, you were also able to use some of the macro skills. And what are those macro skills? When we say macro skills, as a future language teachers, especially that you are also pursuing, okay, teachers in the future, English language teachers in the future, you need to facilitate the development of five macro skills. Okay, we are just having four here, so last time we discussed about the additional macro skills. Okay, think back of that and comment down below. All right. So there are listening. Okay. The second one is reading. The third one is writing and viewing. Okay. So example is message relay. And I think most of us encompass or encountered this message relays even in our elementary days. All right. So that is to test one of our macro skills. These are essential for communication. Humans develop the skill to communicate by listening, just like babies. They listen and imitate the sounds they hear. Then comes the speaking through imitation. As the skills progress, they then learn to read and write. Along with all this also comes the viewing. Alright, as we can observe, especially in our recent times, that okay, the toddlers or the young ones, baby, even just 1 year old, okay, they can really imitate, okay, the language that we are teaching them, okay, the words that we are uttering and keep on teaching them, they can easily adopt or grasp. All right, and then they eventually know how to speak, and then as the time goes by, of course, they will learn how to write, okay, how to read and write, okay, upon schooling. All right, so these are all interconnected. Why? So that's when one learns a new language, the best effort to do is by engaging all these skills in a balance. One that is not used and practiced well will eventually become the weaker skill of the individual. Alright? We shouldn't not just focusing on listening or writing or just in reading or just in viewing. How about in other macro skills? If you are just keep focusing on, for example, in listening, then how about the other macro skills? If we can't do something about it, if we can't learn about it, okay, then it becomes our one of our weakest point. All right, in especially in learning the second language or the target language. So listening, it is a prerequisite to understanding. All right, you have first to listen in order for you to understand the message so that you can give the feedback later. Next, it's a skill of grasping and decoding information during the exchange of messages. That's right. Listening is also the beginning of understanding and a valuable key to effective communication. Because if you are not going to listen to someone you are talking with, okay, how are you going to give feedback? How are you going to analyze? Okay, you don't. I mean, you do not have something to analyze to if you didn't listen. Next, it is the test of getting the meaning of what is being heard. So that as according to Underwood on the year 2009. So really, you have or we all have, okay, needing to listen so that we can grasp the message, okay, so that we can give feedback later on. So how can we improve our listening skill? The first one is stop talking. So it is difficult to listen and speak at the same time. Okay, so wag kasing puro ikaw, ano, kaya nagsasawa agad eh. Ano? So we have to practice the give and take relationship or manner. Okay, so wait for him or her to stop talking before you interrupt or share your insights or share your message too. Next, put the speaker at ease. So how are you going to do that? So help them feel that they are free to talk. Next, give them space and time and permission to speak. All right. Next step, show them that you want to listen. In what manner or in what way? So look and act interested. So by nodding when you can. Agree. Ask them to explain further if you don't understand. So this is much applicable in the teaching learning processes. Of course, if you didn't understand, then don't hesitate to ask your teacher for further clarifications. All right, then listen to understand them and their words rather than just for your turn. All right. Next, remove distractions. So what are these distractions? Just like the gadgets, the cell phones, all right, or doing something else. Okay, when we are talking with someone else. So do not doodle, tap, or shuffle papers. All right. Next, give the speaker your full attention and let them know they are getting your full attention. So how are we going to let them know that they have our attention? Of course, by looking in their eyes and paying much attention to them. Okay, so sabi din kanina, by nodding or agreeing to them. Okay, or asking a question for further clarification. So something like that. Next, empathize with them. So try to put yourself in their place so that you can see their point of view. All right. This is something that we have to put ourselves in their shoes. Not literally, of course, but we have to let them realize or feel that we embrace them. Okay, that we accept them. That we listen them. Okay, that we listen to them. I mean. Number six, be patient, of course. So think, okay, or wait for your turn before you speak out, or wait for your discussant or someone you are talking with to finish what he or she wants to speak out, to speak about. Okay, don't interrupt. Okay, so that would be a disgusting point or a bad or negative attitude that they may incorporate in ours. All right. Next is hold your temper. So watch your own emotions. If what they are saying creates an emotional response in you, hold on and pay attention to find the meaning exactly. Because sometimes we are just having the what we so-called misunderstanding, right? So we better analyze first the message or the information we gathered before we speak out or talk to, all right, or giving our feedback. Next is when we are emotional, we often miss uh, critical parts of what is being said to us. That's true. Okay, we almost can't hold our temper, especially if we are in bad moods. Ano, lalo na kapag may pinagdadaanan ka. Alright. So set aside that. Number eight, go easy on argument and criticism. So this puts them on the defensive side. They may clam up or get angry. Do not argue even if you win, you lose. Okay, so this is something about for example, you're talking about your president. Okay, the president that you will be electing on the next election. All right, so you just have to talk with or listen to, okay, or give your opinion, okay, or respect his or her opinion, okay, because that may create dispute. All right. Next, ask questions. So this encourage them and show you are listening. Of course, especially in the classroom setup. course, you have to ask questions regarding the topic, all right? And it helps to develop further points. Okay, the last one is stop talking. Okay, doesn't say that we just have to learn also the sign language. Of course, it's not. Okay, so stop talking means this is the first and last because all other components depend on it. Okay, you cannot do a good listening job while you are talking. Really, although there are those kind of people who can do multitasking. Okay, but for me, I cannot do that. But okay, I cannot get any idea or meaning. Okay, of what he or she is saying if I am not paying attention. All right. So nature gave us two ears and only one tongue, which is a gentle hint that we should listen twice as much as we talk. Alright? So really we have to listen twice as much as we talk before giving our own insights or feedback. Alright? So that we can lessen negative vibes or we can evade from it. So here's your test. I talked, entitled I talked. This is an extemporaneous speech. Supposed to be, it should be impromptu speech, but since you have to listen first with this discussion, so I prepared this as extemporaneous. And think of any topic where you can vocalize your thought. Be ready to deliver it in the class, okay, for our next meeting. Okay, but if you can't think of your own topic, so below are sample topics. The first one, my biggest concern for the future is next, the more we communicate, the less we say. Next, intelligence is not enough. True wisdom comes from. Next, impact of pandemic in the lives of the students. Okay, so this one I think less of you can relate. Okay, so anything that could vocalize your thoughts or can raise your eagerness, okay, to tell something. So, did you enjoy the test? Why or why not? Okay, so this one could be uh, done right after the discussion. What are the activity I mean that you have done? Okay, so what help you do? Okay, in order, what help do you need? I mean, to perform better in this test. All right, so you have to reminisce, okay, or think back. What would be the macro skills that you have to still develop or be needing, okay, extensively in order for you uh, to be better on this kind of test. The next. So we speaking abilities that makes us superior to other species. It is also a complex cognitive and linguistic skill involving words and sounds. Next, it may also involve with meaning or socially relationship. I mean, sociality, relationship effect, like formal, informal, Islam, gender, dialect, something like that. Cultural issues like class, ethnicity, nationality, religion, gender, and or dialect. Next, performance. It could be articulation, projection, or pronunciation. And I think this is the last, sound elements. So what are those? How volume, pitch, okay, the rise and fall of the voice, pace, and nature of sound, complement, contradict, replace word. So there are functions of speaking. The first one is interaction. So this is seen in social conversations. Example, when a student shares her weekend getaway experience to a friend, or a taxi driver chats with his passenger, or a sales lady telling her manager about her recent experience or etc. So meaning to say interaction, there is a Q&A happening, for example, okay? There is a question and there is a response. Transaction happens when someone wants to get across a message. So there is an act to be done after the message is received. Example, a boy orders a bag of pizza, or a teacher gives instructions on the segment of the lesson to her students, or a book or booking a plane ticket via phone call. All right. So in transaction, there is something that you need to do. All right. So sabi kasi doon, there is an act to be done after the message is received. So for example, after giving the instruction, for example, the task that you will be doing in this lesson, all right? So after I gave the instruction, so it's up to you, or it's your chance or time to fulfill the task, okay? So guided with the instructions that I have given you. The last one is performance. So performance is when an audience accepts the message is spoken. Example, speeches conducted to persuade like oration or debate. Actually, your extemporaneous speech could be a sort of performance sooner, okay? If you are going to present your task already. So there is an emphasis on the accuracy, the sequencing of ideas, the form, and the organization. According to Brown, 1989, he suggested the category outlined before. The first one is oral reading, next silent reading. In silent reading, we have intensive, like linguistic, context. Second is extensive, like skimming, scanning, global. So what is reading? It is a multifaceted process involving word recognition, comprehension, fluency, and motivation. So learn how readers integrate these facets or features to make meaning from print. So that was according to Leipzig 2001. Reading is making meaning from print. It requires that we identify the words in print, a process called recognition. So that is the time when we are able to read. Next, construct an understanding from them, a process called comprehension. Okay, so this one is when we are able to give feedback or write our own insight, for example, regarding the given topic or the reading article. And next, coordinate identifying words and making meaning so that reading is automatic and accurate, like an achievement called fluency. All right. In oral reading, so oral reading is reading aloud. Of course, we are vocalizing, okay? This can be a technique to improve poor readers' word identification in context. So by reading aloud, the person learns to correct and detect errors that the reader produced. It improves proper pronunciation and enunciation. So actually, even when we are just listening the song, okay, English songs especially, so we can eventually learn how to pronounce well the words. Okay, so that is additional. Okay, and of course, watching a movie with subtitles that could help us. Next is under silent reading or extensive reading. So the latter is the end in itself. Practicing reading strategies entail intensive reading, and while extensive reading is the means to an end. So extensive reading includes reading for pleasure or reading technical, scientific, or professional material. So extensive means that we really need, okay, to get the whole information, okay. to specific reading like scanning for key details or skimming for the essential meaning only. Okay, so that is the for about the oral reading. In writing, this is another macro skill which language teachers should master and teach students. So, writing entails of language variables since it is an extremely complex cognitive activity. So, good writing skills may increase the chances of a person's success. These are needed for all the students to accomplish their educational and employable requirements, of course, because upon the hiring process, if you're already graduated and then let pass already, and you are going to look for a job, of course, you will be writing your intent letter or the application letter, right? So that is why writing is very important. So that is one of the macro skill that of is macro skills. I mean that you need to develop, okay, in yourself. Good sentence are prerequisite to excellent work, of course. To make our writing appealing, we need to add more flavors and make use of engaging words instead of bland or weak phrases. In writing, we need to follow the steps to achieve a coherent and effective output. The steps for writing begins with deciding on the topic, followed by researching and collecting information, then making the outline to serve as the flow plan. When the plan is set, you may start writing. Okay, this will serve as the first draft. Then revise to improve your work. So the editing process. So these are actually the writing process steps. So the first one, decide the topic. Of course, we have to decide the topic. For example, you are tasked to create a lesson or yeah, a lesson, a presentation about the 8 parts of the speech. Okay, so decide which part of the 8 parts of the speech are you going to focus? Is it for the noun, pronoun, adjective, and so on. All right. So research and collect information. Okay, it is necessary that we have to collect information. We have to read so wide. Okay, we have to research, okay, and use lots of references if necessary, and then outline and plan. Of course, we just have to outline. Don't get all the information, or don't write all the information in your presentation, for example. Just the outline, all right, so that you will be having your guide while presenting. Next is start writing by a simple draft. Of course, in writing, so since we are talking about writing, of course, um, you have to prepare for a draft. Okay, so all the ideas coming or running in your heads, you have to outline that. Okay, you have to put that in a draft, simple draft first, and then review and edit, and of course you have to format. Okay, review, are your topics or the contents you included in your write-up necessary? Are they connected to one another? Okay, how about your grammar? Okay, you have to check that. The format. Baka kasi magkakaiba yung format. Mamaya may yung font size is 12, yung iba 23. Okay, in our readings, or I mean in your write-up, actually the font style that we usually use, especially if we are creating the modules, is I think the 12 is a font size. The font styles could be Tahoma, okay, Arial, okay, Verdana, okay, those who are easily to understand, okay, or when we looked into the words or letters. So for your task, I think this would be your final task. So you're going to create infographics. So this is a visual image such as a chart or diagram used to present information or data. So this is an example. So this one was our output, okay, group 4 with my group mates. Shout out, Sir Jomer Zavala, okay, myself, of course, so Ma'am Kyla Royola, and who's this one? Yung isa namin kaklase, hindi ko masyadong mabasa yung name niya. All right, so this is an example of infographics. You may use apps, okay, available or downloadable kung ano install sa inyo. If not, you may just draw, okay, diagrams or this one. All right, so the app being used here was Canva or Canva, something like that. Okay, you have to look for it nila. Okay, so this is entitled anyway, gaining entry to the research site. So what could be the content of it? So we have the procedures, respondents, information. Okay, so it's up to you what could be the content of your infographics. Okay, so now you are going to create your own with a group of 3 to 5 members. Okay, so we will be dealing with that. Talk about it with regroupings. And then viewing skills allows students to pause and reflect and think about the images they are seeing and then analyze or evaluate further these visuals for better use. It includes giving meaning to other images or visuals and even with computer programs and websites which have printed and spoken words. Viewing skills also give avenue for students to understand things and gain knowledge via information which is communicated by others, especially with the use of technology. That's right. So this skills is very important, especially in this age of technology. In this age and time, visual literacy will be an important skill and requirement for success in business as this generation experiences an information evolution. It is the ability to learn visually by thinking and solving problems presented in the visual domain. So King and Van Heck 2006 asserted that learning happens when connections are created with like a schema in the mind. So biologically, we connect via neural network. Concepts and ideas are linked in the mind, and interactions made between experiences are all essential in the process of learning. Ideas may be presented visually via pictures, graphics, posters, drawings, videos, web pages, multimedia. All right. So there are different types of viewing. So what are those? We have visual literacy and critical literacy. Under visual literacy, we have a skill to decipher the meaning from visuals, according to George's 1991. And of course, this is also the ability to create visuals to convey effectively the ideas in mind, as according to Valmont 2003 and Hainish 1990. So that is about the visual. How about critical literacy? The skill to understand and evaluate information from visuals. And it is also the ability to analyze the composition of the picture. Communicative competence. So this is according to Cooley and Roach, 1984. They mentioned that communicative competence refers to the knowledge one has on morphology, syntax, includes how and when we use or when to use this appropriately in utterances. It is the proper and efficient communication flow and the skill to utilize and acclimate this expertise in different situations. And also, according to Del Himes, he coined or created his own term after posing the description of Chomsky on the year 1996, performance and competence. So for your test, you are going to differentiate competence versus performance. You may also wish to give an example for a clearer, okay, differentiation that you may create. Okay, you may just comment below your answer. Next is the communicative competency. Okay, so we have this. How are we going to acquire these competencies? So let's take this. Communicative competence, as according to Connell and Zoe in 1980, when we talk grammatical competence, these are words and rules. So what words do I use? For example, how do I put them into phrases and sentences? So that is about grammar. Next, social linguistic competence, the appropriateness. Which words and phrases fit this setting and this topic? How can I express a specific attitude, courtesy, authority, friendliness, respect when I need to? Next, strategic competence. Appropriate use of communication strategies. Like, how can I express my ideas if I don't know the name of something or the right verb form to use? So that is strategic competence. Next is discourse competence. According to Connell 1982. So this talks about cohesion or coherence. How are words, phrases, and sentences put together to create conversations, speeches, email messages, or even newspaper or articles. Alright? So here you are going to explain when is oral communication more effective than oral communication and vice versa. Meaning to say, how or when do we say that oral communication is more effective than oral communication? Or when is for the written one, I mean, huh? Okay, oral communication more effective than oral communication. So okay, so correction. This is the written one. Okay, when is oral communication more effective than the written one and vice versa? Okay, so I think this is the very last. All right. So choose one below. Okay, so before that, in communication, actually, one can do it orally, meaning using voice, articulation, or written using print. In oral communication, we consider the tone of voice, gestures, eye contact, while in written communication, we consider the diction or the use of words or language and manner of writing. Okay, so choose one below. You know yourself better. Try to write, okay, your strengths and weaknesses in terms of your listening and speaking skills. Which skills will help you more in academic endeavors? The second option, who among people you have built in competences which you think are worth emulating? Which of his or her skills do you want to learn? Next, write a paragraph or two about it. And the last one, show the importance of language through a student talk video on demand or voice record. So share your voice record or video, okay, while you are having a voice record or having a video presentation or recording of yourself while speaking. Right, so these are the references that I have been used.